Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go-to film enthusiast. Every week I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And with me tonight, I have a very special guest, recurring guest critic, Mr. Brian Smith. Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Been a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Halloween came and went,
Halloween was it was a crazy one this year.
yeah. Mine was surprisingly low key. I was
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were making our selections for New York City horror, so I had to. Everyone else was having a great time that night.
Oh, that's so sad. No, I'm kidding. I'm
We're
kidding.
kidding.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and as for me, we had the Halloween parade in the city, and we also had the Scares for Cares Halloween charity event party last weekend, and that was just a lot of fun.
Cool, cool.
And yeah, I'm just looking forward to reviewing some movies with you tonight.
Nice.
So, but before we get to the films, we had a tragic loss this week. A very good actor, a staple in horror films, Mr. Tony Todd, best known for his role as Candyman, the titular role of Candyman. And he was just a fantastic presence in all of his movies. And I know him best obviously from Candyman, also from Night of the Living Dead, the remake. He was also in Wishmaster. He was been in almost every horror franchise, it seems.
Yeah.
And also one of my all-time favorite action movies, The Rock from 1996.
Hmm.
And he was just a very likable guy, very talented actor. I had the privilege of interviewing him on the red carpet at the Reign of the Supermen DC animated film. And that was a number of years ago. I think it was 2019. And I posted about it. I reposted that. And yeah, just talking to him, he was very down to earth, really cool guy. And, he'll be missed. Brian, what are your memories of Mr. Todd?
Well, I'm with New York City Horror Film Festival, and a few years back, I want to say 2018, he was actually our Lifetime Achievement Award winner.
Hmm.
And he was just amazing in person to meet. It was overwhelming for me to meet him in person because Candyman was such it was such a culturally important and significant horror film. We don't have to get into it, but seeing that on a big screen back in the day, and when he first emerges on the screen, of course, I'd already seen him in Night of the Living Dead, but they're such different characters, and
Yeah.
when he just emerged on screen, it was just he had such, like you say, he had just such presence that in that film in particular, you heard first,
Yeah.
and then you saw him, and I got to tell him this, in person and take a picture with him and everything. He was just he was a friend of the festival as well, a friend of our festival director Ronnie, and yeah, he was just liked by everyone. It was like I think that was one of our most well attended
Hmm.
festivals because everyone was just there to meet and see Tony, and he was just great with the crowds, just so friendly. We had a cake for him and everything, and I think his birthday was that weekend. So yeah, it was a party,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
just seeing the outpouring of love and admiration for him over the last couple of days has been just really touching and heartwarming, and it's just he just left such an amazing body of work.
Yeah.
He's just never stopped working, as far as I know. He was just always, whether it was his voice, whether it was his presence on screen, he was just had his hand and his presence and everything. So Final
Yeah.
Destination as
Oh,
well.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a
So
very good role,
that was
actually.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
when people, because that by that point, he's made it as a horror icon when he can
Mhm.
just walk in and just drop a few lines. It's like everybody's can't
Yeah.
even that, it's that's
It doesn't want to matter what type of horror movie it is. If
he
you
just
see him in it, he elevates the
right,
project.
right. And that voice is
Yeah.
so unforgettable. So, he lives on in the work, and there was some great,
Mm.
I saw Virginia Madsen, of course,
Mm.
posted about it, and once she posted, that's when it felt real. It was like, oh man, like you could see how hurt she was, and so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was nice to see, and as you know, the horror community is, we love our own, we protect our own,
Mhm.
and when we lose one, it really hurts,
Right.
so yeah, everyone's sort of dealing with it right now. So
So I interviewed him on that red carpet. It was great. But I think the most memorable part of that night was after the red carpet. He was kind of just hanging out
yeah.
and just chatting with fans, with other people who worked at the theater. This was at the Directors Guild of America theater actually back in 2019. And he was just kind of just hanging out like a normal guy, like, I was chatting with him and it's just again so down to earth, so cool.
Yeah.
And just a real class act. And he really left behind a great legacy of work.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm seeing the tributes are still coming through on my phone and
hmm,
online, and so it's nice to see that, he was so appreciated and
yeah,
well liked.
I may go back and rewatch some of his movies this week. We'll see.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just as a tribute, we'll see.
absolutely.
All right, well, rest in peace, Tony. You were awesome, and you still are awesome through your work, sir. All right, so we're going to move along to our first review of the evening, and this film is getting a lot of buzz. It's doing very, very well. It's called Anora, and it is the latest from director-writer Sean Baker. You might know him best from Red Rocket a couple years back. He did Florida Project. He did Tangerine before that, which was shot in three iPhones. He did a great job. He has become one of my favorite working directors right now,
Mhm.
and Anora is no different because this film is fantastic. It won the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival, the Palme d'Or, and it's getting a lot of other nominations too. It's winning a few awards as well. I definitely see this nominated, if not winning Best Picture, maybe some competition for The Substance. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Very different movies, but both fantastic. And I just want to just do a little quick synopsis of Anora. It follows an Annie who is a stripper slash prostitute question mark
Sex worker.
sex
Yeah.
worker. Yeah, and basically she's played by Madison, wonderful young actress in this, and she plays Annie brilliantly as this young sex worker who meets the son of a Russian mobster, Agliarch.
He's a wealthy. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's in the wealth. Yeah.
he's a wealthy Russian businessman, let's say.
Hmm.
And his son plays this, drugged out guy. He's like 21 years old, and he meets Honora at a strip club, and they form an immediate romantic connection. And over the course of like a week, he like proposes, and this sets off a lot of alarms with his family, who basically come to his mansion and try to force him to get an annulment. And basically, that is the story of Anora, and the way that this whole adventure plays out is told very well. So it's a very crazy dramedy because it's serious in some parts, but it's mostly kind of wacky and zany, and a lot of glass is being broken. But I love this movie. This is, I think, on my top three of the year. It's joining up with The Substance for me right now.
Okay.
But Brian, your thoughts on Anora?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I think in watching it, I thought of like Sean Baker's films. I think it's up there. I'd say
Okay.
it's a much more accomplished. You can see where he's going with his style, and you can see where he's going with, not just the visual style, but just his performances that he gets out of, like, particularly the lead.
Hmm.
Um, truth be told, and I can never say I've watched the Sean Baker movie twice. I can
Okay.
sort of experience it once, and
Interesting.
you sort of get it. It's sort of like it's almost like you're living the life of the character while you're watching it, and it's like, okay, and then you sort of move on to the next thing. I'm not saying
Hmm.
it's that I didn't like it. It's just it's not something I would necessarily want to say I'd throw on again.
Okay.
So you go through it once, you say, okay, this it's done really well, and I felt that way with Anora, which I believe was it 2 hours and 20 minutes or
2 hours
so?
and 19.
2019. Okay, so they saved that 1 minute. Okay, which is, I think, similar to the substance. I think
I think that was a little shorter,
I think it was like something
but
like two
that
hours
was
and
over
10.
two, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But enough about that. But in terms of like Anora, I think Mikey Madison really gives her all in his
Mm,
performance. I mean, if you only know her from like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
yeah.
and was it Scream, the Scream remake,
Mm,
well, reboot, I
right,
guess.
right.
She can get wild and crazy and let loose and just lose herself in her roles. So, and I think she really from what I understand, she put in a lot of work in terms of just building her character and the
Yeah.
physicality and
And she learned a little bit of Russian for the part.
right, right,
Yeah.
and really building her character. So she,
Right.
she really put in the time and effort, and it shows. It's she's
Mhm.
carrying it well. I would say, we're not going to spoil here. We just want you to check
Spoiler
out.
free zone,
Yeah,
guys.
just go out and
Spoiler
see it for
free
yourself.
zone.
I'd say pacing wise, there may have been some error, like
You
in
think
one
it
of
could have
the.
been shortened a little?
I
Kind of shave off that middle portion?
There's a middle portion
Yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of goes a bit
yeah.
in circles. I get what they were going for, but
Yeah.
after a while, it sort of felt like this could be trimmed down a little. It felt a
Right.
little repetitive. But and again, and not giving anything away, I think where it goes really leaves an indelible mark on the audience. I definitely felt that, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's the real story. Is just I would just say stick with the story,
Right.
stick with it, because it has some nice moments and surprises and things. So I can see
Mhm.
where the buzz and things are coming through. It is a unique film. It is a very very mature adult film. I don't
Right.
think we see a lot of films like that lately. So
Yeah.
there's maybe a handful of directors who are still making films for grown-ups.
Right.
So I would say that yeah, I think it's good in that way. It's good to support that to keep that momentum going. But
Right.
yeah, I think see it once if you're having this,
Yeah.
you'll love it. I think it's
No, you know what? I can't wait to see this again, actually.
okay.
And I know you said you're not used to seeing Baker films twice, but I in the past week or 2 weeks I rewatched The Florida Project, Tangerine, and Red Rocket,
Okay.
and they all three of those films got better.
Hmm.
And I think this movie will get even better too with a second viewing or third even.
Yeah, I
Um,
really like the in this film. I really like the production value, the
mhm.
cinematography.
Right.
The editing is very
It's tight.
sharp in a lot of places
Yeah.
and very stylish, and the production, everything about it is just it just felt bigger than
Right.
his other. I think that's what it is. It just feels bigger. And correct me if I'm wrong. Was
Yeah.
it shot on film I think
Not sure how it was shot,
it
but
has a film. It has a
yeah.
grand film look. Like it
Because
shows like a real.
because this was definitely not shot in three iPhones like
No,
Tangerine.
no. But I mean, even that was fine.
Yeah, no,
You
that
could
was
see it.
good.
Yeah, it was fine. So, but
Um,
this definitely looks bigger. Like
yeah.
there's of course there's Vegas shots and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's got that big look to it.
Right. Well, I think over the years, Baker's gotten more money from producers, from distributors.
Right,
So that's
right,
given him a lot of more creative freedom
right.
to just tell a story visually that's impressive to the audience.
And that's true to his vision of
Yeah,
how he
yeah.
was. Yeah, yeah.
And I love that this was shot. I believe the mansion that they shot this movie in was an actual mansion in Brooklyn, if I'm not
Wow.
mistaken. Yeah.
That's it.
And when you guys, if you haven't seen the movie,
It's ridiculous.
this house is nuts. It's like it's gorgeous,
Yeah.
and it's where that middle sequence plays out.
But it also kind of works. I don't know if it was set dressed
Mhm.
specifically for the film or if that's how it actually looks because it kind of works with the kind of tacky
Mhm.
quality of the
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
family and stuff. So it kind of works in a strange way. I don't know why. It's impressive. It's big. It's huge. But in terms of
Mhm.
looking, if you look beneath the surface, of course,
Yeah,
which I think is the theme, it has a tackiness to it. There's
yeah.
something in it. It's
Kind of that over the top,
it's
like
over the top,
rich look.
but there's also like a lot of mirrors
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
So I'm sure like we'll probably later hear like commentary that there's some thematic reason why
yeah.
he chose that place and how it works in the theme. But and just in thinking about it, I'm like there's a lot of things you can pick apart thematically of the
Right.
film. So, but again, not spoiling anything.
No spoilers. But also, I
Performances are
wanted
great.
I wanted to mention some similarities here between this and Pretty Woman.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
kind of almost like a Cinderella story.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, one of my favorite reviews that came out, one of the blurbs, was, it makes Pretty Woman look like a Disney film, which cracks me up
It's
because
funny.
it tells
It's a
you
good
how,
point.
well, what it does is it tells you that that was probably written by someone young because Pretty Woman technically was under Touchstone, which was a Disney company. So
That's true.
as I'm reading
That's
that
funny.
review,
That's funny.
I was like, in my nerdy, older Gen X, brain, I'm like, come on, gonna look that up. But that's fine. No, I get what they're going
And
for.
then
It is,
she goes on the next year to play Tinkerbell.
but that's pretty funny. Yeah, that's pretty funny. No,
Side
yeah, it
note.
is definitely the Pretty Woman model, the Cinderella story. It's just definitely done for today's audience, today's crowd. I think
I hope this becomes the next Pretty Woman because I didn't even think Pretty Woman was that great of a movie.
well, Pretty Woman was itself was you might have known it was sanitized, so they
Mm,
changed the script was much darker and grittier. The
okay.
script was probably this, they just probably just that's
35
right.
years
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
I
No, the
love it.
script for I think it was called the commenters can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just pulling up my head, but I think it was called 3000 because that was how much he offered her.
Okay.
And then it was a much darker, like
Oh,
drug-addled,
that's funny.
story about prostitution, which is,
Oh.
where you would have invariably gone. But here, I think he takes the theme and, he gives it an upbeat, hopeful.
Hmm.
It's a hopeful film. It's a human film,
Yeah.
and I think that's in line with all of his films.
Hmm.
He definitely has a sort of an interest in. I think sex workers have been sort of his main characters throughout his most of his career.
Yeah.
He at least some semblance of it
I
as his
I don't
origin.
know what Sean Baker's obsession is with sex workers, prostitutes, and strippers, but
I mean, there's everyone has a story.
yeah.
There are compelling stories. I guess he's going for that, the grittiness. And I've seen him in interviews talk about how,
Mhm.
he misses the sort of return to mature themes and R-rated films. And it's definitely an R-rated film. So,
Yeah.
leave the kids at home.
Yes, please.
But he shows, I think he wants to show all the different facets of, you know, not just life, but like everyone has a story. So he wants to show the light with the dark and
Yeah.
the hopeful and the human. And I think that's what he's going for.
Mhm.
Um, Again, there's just this section of maybe 20 minutes that I
Mhm.
would cut that, kind of it could be devoted to something else that
Yeah.
ultimately pays off, but I wish it was a little more devoted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I get you.
yeah, I'd say all the performances are really pretty solid.
Right.
Everyone has, something to do, and just the little, I don't want to spoil it because I like how
I know
the
it's
the
tempting.
story sneaks, when you see it, you'll know
It's
the
very
story kind of sneaks up on you, I think that will determine how it affects you,
yeah.
ultimately. So yeah, but there's some really good performances. Keep an eye out for, many of these actors, and
Yeah.
yeah, just check it out, see if you like it.
No, yeah. There's a bunch of Russian and Armenian like henchmen in this
Mhm.
movie.
Mhm.
But they're kind of like painted kind of goofy a little bit. They're funny and kind of subtle and I kind of like that.
Well, it's not like a gunplay film, which I
No,
thought was interesting.
right.
So any other
It-
film will probably comp there.
it's like it's not mafia,
No,
but it's kind of
protecting
like a gray line.
fortune, yeah,
There's a gray area
but
there.
it's not really. It doesn't really matter so much what they do. They're just known. They're just known, that family or whatever. So
Yeah.
just the formula. But yeah, I thought, yeah, I think it's one of those films where you just have to check it out, see if you like it, and
Yeah.
then let it sneak up on you, and then yeah, there's some really good breakouts here.
I mean, because of this, I'm like I want to see more of Mikey Madison.
Mhm.
She's fantastic. And her she has a very distinct look. So I've definitely seen her before.
She does, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, Once Upon a Time in
right.
Hollywood,
But
and
she had a very small part in that, right?
she had a very very small part, but very distinctive part.
Uh-huh.
And she was in Scream 5 essentially,
Hmm.
and she's very
Right.
distinctive in that as well. No spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely one on the rise, and this I think, it's always interesting to see an actor push themselves really far. I mean, there's moments, there's a pole dancing sequence that's all her,
Hmm.
that she trained for, and
Right.
a lot of the physicality that she trained in. So yeah, it's an interesting, you know.
Now, I also want to mention the actor who plays Toros,
Mhm.
Karen Karagulian, who has been in, I don't know if he's been in all of Baker's films, but he was definitely in the last couple. He was had a prominent role in Tangerine,
Okay.
which is hilarious. And he was also in Starlet, which I don't think a lot of people have seen.
Mhm.
That's a Baker film from 2012.
Okay.
He did that right before Tangerine.
Okay.
And it's actually very, very good. Basically, the plot is, if you guys have not seen it, it is about a porn star who finds a lot of money stashed in a thermos that she buys from a yard sale.
Mm.
And the woman that is conducting the yard sale is this 85-year-old lady who eventually becomes friends with the woman who found the money because the woman she feels guilty that she found the money and she's keeping it. It's a strange story.
Mm.
I don't know why she didn't like give her back some of it, but this old lady had no idea there was money in the thermos. So basically, they become friends and play bingo together, and it's very cute. And it's actually it's another really good Baker film. So if you guys haven't seen it, Brian, I recommend that one.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
And just real quick, Tangerine was fantastic. That was about these two trans prostitutes who are basically they want to get revenge. Well, one of them wants to get revenge on her boyfriend, who's her pimp,
Mm.
and they basically go all over town to try to find him. It's actually a very good movie. I rewatched it last night. It holds up. And again, the fact that it's shot on iPhones is amazing to me.
Mm.
And it looks good. It looks like a really good movie. Then he made it big, I think, with the Florida Project,
Yeah. Yeah.
which that movie is fantastic. You've got a great performance from the kid actors. Obviously, you've got Willem Dafoe as the hotel manager,
Mm.
who it's one of his finest performances in my mind. And I believe he was nominated for an Oscar for that.
I
So,
believe so.
yeah.
Sure.
But after that, it was Red Rocket, which that's what basically made me aware of Baker,
Mm.
and partly because that's why we're talking right about him right now.
Mhm.
So, off the top of your head, favorite Baker film?
David Baker film. I would say I feel like this Anora
Mm,
might be up there. Like
okay.
I'd seen all his other previous films. Red Rocket, I knew, I know they were like hyping it up when it came out. It was like uh, a big deal, and I
Yeah.
saw it. And it was what it was. I mean, we don't have to get into it, but
Okay.
thematically, of course. But I think Anora, I definitely while watching it, I was like, I like the cinematography, the scope of it was impressive. I thought,
Mhm.
because like seeing the progression of his work. So it definitely feels like his biggest work to date. And I think the performances are really good. Uh, and it sneaks up on you to a point where it is a love story.
Yeah.
It just sneaks up on you, but it's just a really I like how it happened. I just wish a little more time was devoted to it because it felt
Mm,
very fresh and interesting. But
yeah.
where it leaves you, it certainly felt like the audience was affected by it, and so that was a nice. It makes you wonder where does the story go after, that sort of thing.
I honestly, even though it was almost 2.5 hours, I wanted more of this world, more of this story.
Well, once the real story starts kicking in, it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
want that. Let's see what happens. But I
Yeah.
think that the fact that it leaves you wanting a little bit more is interesting. But
Yeah.
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 So yeah, like I said, my only gripe is that 20 minutes it could have been wasted, could have been devoted. So,
Yeah, no,
but
again,
it's fine. It's fine.
it's a creative
It's
choice.
done in a way that it is funny after a while, and then it gets almost like
Annoying,
crazy. Yeah.
kind of irritating, but
Yeah.
overall though, fantastic film, and I hope it gets nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars this year.
Okay. I'm still a Substance fan.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
Substance is still
I'm
my movie of
like,
this year.
I don't know, they're just so different though, but they're so great.
They're different. Yeah, I mean, I want The Substance to go for every award
Oh my God.
and hope for the best. It'll probably do well on the February awards, but we're not
Yeah.
talking about The Substance right now. I get it. I get it.
Okay. We
It's
can talk about that in every
it's
episode.
become my identity this year.
I know.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I said, good performance. Mikey really throws herself into it.
Yep.
It seemed like it was a very safe project for her,
Hmm.
to be able to go there in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think Sean does a good job of actually giving her that comfort level, that
Right.
space that to perform. And
This is a star-making performance, I think.
yeah, it'll get her out there. I
Yeah.
mean, she's yeah. We'll see
Um,
what happens.
and I definitely want to see Baker kind of delve more into other genres, like
Mhm.
maybe even film noir or even like an epic sci-fi thing. I think he could tackle pretty much any genre
I
outside of the
think
sex
he's
workers
Yeah, I
angle.
think. Well, I mean, even if he wanted to keep it in the sex, I think he could. could probably tackle any genre. I think he's
Yeah.
pretty well versed in cinema.
Right.
We've seen videos of him like
Yeah.
going through like the DVDs and Blu-rays of
Right.
because he
He's a big French cinema fan.
he loves cinema.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that probably I think that probably lends itself to where he how he deals with his actors, his characters,
Right.
his writing style, the sort of loose sort of reality style that he goes with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel confident that he can deliver interesting work
Right.
because he's well versed in cinema, which is all we can ask for as viewers, as cinephiles ourselves.
Yeah.
We love it when filmmakers are well versed in the entire scope of cinema.
When a
Good,
cin
good, bad, ugly, great, whatever. Watch it all, get to know it, get
Yeah.
inspired.
When a movie fan makes movies for movie fans, then
Right.
you have a good formula right
Right,
there. I
because
mean,
you're just creating you're using the film language and creating new work, and
so
that's how it evolves.
indeed, indeed. So, guys, check out Anora. It is currently in theaters, and it is fantastic. And I love this movie so much. Now we're going to talk about another romantic dramedy. This one is called We Live in Time, also out in theaters now, and it is a story about two young people played by Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, and how they meet, fall in love, get married, have a kid. Tragedy strikes in between their happy union. And the film is actually told in a very interesting way. It's kind of non-linear, where they go kind of back and forth throughout their romantic timeline. And I love Andrew Garfield. He's not one of my favorite Spider-Men, but he's a very talented actor. So I'm always interested to see what he's doing next. Same said with Florence Pugh, who I love. She's a very talented actress. First thing I saw her in, I believe, was Midsommar,
Mhm.
which was fantastic. This movie is good. It is serviceable. It does everything it needs to do, and the chemistry between the two leads is fantastic, and without a doubt, the best part of the movie.
Mm.
Having said that, it's a little dull. It's not a great film by any means. I wish I didn't spend $21 to see it.
Ah,
Actually, wait, I might have spent 13, but that might have been too much anyway. But yeah, this movie is it's all right. It's all right. It's a decent romantic dramedy, and I actually went in with high hopes, and I mean the hopes were kind of dashed a bit,
mm.
but I got what I paid for, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
And I think I'd recommend it to stream. What
Mm.
about you, Brian? What are your thoughts on this film?
Well, this is also a film I would watch. I'd watch the once and probably
Yeah.
won't revisit. But it's anchored by the two performances, the main performances. Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, both very talented. They're just bringing what we know and like about them. Andrew's always he can be a very like sensitive character actor, and Florence brings that that inner strength, that rawness, that
Yeah.
toughness, and just she has a charisma to her as well. So you put those two together, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a serviceable, like you said, serviceable romantic dramedy.
Right.
Nothing necessarily new. I don't think it's based on a book. I think I
Uh,
think it's an original
it
screenplay.
is from a screenplay by Nick Payne,
Okay.
but yeah, no book.
But yeah, maybe perhaps the non-linear storytelling, maybe it didn't quite work. I'm not sure,
Oh
but
yeah. Interesting.
yeah, I don't know if it really worked for me because it kind of threw
Hmm.
me off here and there. But I got what they were going for.
Right.
Again, it's all based on the performances in those moments. So if
Right.
they're going to be like vignettes, but they're the same actors doing the thing, and you're sort of trying to piece together their memories and that sort of thing, it's
Yeah.
fine. But it didn't blow me away.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily left a much of an impression on the audience. I think the woman next to me was like crying. I saw it on my
No.
own, but yeah, it was a woman. She had some tears, but
All right.
her
What?
friends were.
I mean, it's depressing in some spots, but I don't yeah, I'm with you. I was not blown away either.
Yeah, yeah,
I was very interested to see what the two of these can do on screen together,
yeah.
and they did not disappoint.
I definitely felt the time going by in spots, and then it ended when it needed to. It was like
Yeah.
okay, I felt released. It was fine. No, it's fine, but I probably wouldn't see it again.
Yeah,
That's it.
same. Um, I was just curious by Florence, but she's not. That did not impress me here. Look Up in Time. It's now in theaters. Check that out if you'd like. And we just have like a minute or two left. I just want to see, Mr. Smith, do you have any plugs? Anything going on with you post Halloween?
Oh, post Halloween, yeah. I mean, it never ends. No, we're actually gearing up for the New York City Horror Film Festival. It's coming
Nice.
up first weekend of December, December 5th through the 8th. We'll actually be awarding at press time. Danielle Harris is
Yeah.
our personal. She's winning the Personal Achievement in Acting Award because she's our generation, so
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
way too young right now for Lifetime Achievement. We want to see. Well, she's still working. She's still out there.
I
So,
know.
we want to make sure
She's not even 50.
right. It's a special award that we, as her peers, wanted to award her. So,
That's
we're
awesome.
happy to have her there. So, yeah. So
That's
looking
all.
forward to that.
So I'm thinking right now, Halloween 4 and 5.
Halloween 4 and
She was
5.
brilliant. She's the best part of those movies.
Amazing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, she really, from those films, she just sort of, she paid her dues right away as a child.
Yeah. Well,
Getting
she was
into
like
the genre.
she was like 5 or something in the
No, it's
States.
like nine or
Oh,
10. Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. I was about the same age, seeing it in the theater, and most of us on the team and the
Okay.
festival. So yeah, it's we're like, you know what? She's the Scream princess for the next.
Not just Queen anymore.
Just yeah, I mean, I think she has to. Yeah, we're gonna. She's got more
Empress.
Empress. Yeah, that's
That should be the name of the
yeah,
award, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I mean, like I said, she's got many projects. She's got a podcast out there, so
She's so good.
yeah, she's fantastic, and yeah, we wanted to honor that.
Cool.
So come on down. It's gonna be during one of the programs. You can check our website
And
nychorrorfest.com.
where's that taking place?
It's gonna be at Look Dine-In Cinemas, which is West 57th Street.
Okay.
It's way west. Can't miss it. It's right by the West Side Highway. But it's a
Nice.
destination event, destination thing. So once you get there, you'll never want to leave.
I like that. You should work
But
for their marketing team. That's good. All right. Well, that's exciting. Some good stuff coming up.
yeah,
All
yeah, it should be
right.
fun.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And as for me, as always, you can check out new episodes of Under the Radar on Slam Radio through SiriusXM, and that's every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Also, the video version of this podcast will air on the Under the Radar channel. Actually, it's the Lifestyle channel on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and that's every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And as always, feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel and share the love. So, Brian Smith, thank you so much for this wonderful show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I hope to see you again very soon.
Very cool. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, guys, I'm Randy Younger. This has been Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.